What Ugh. What a day today was. I fixed the CNC machine. That was pretty cool. How we found out what was wrong was, I just plugged in the power and we saw something smoking. And it was a rectifier diode on the power input. Uh, you know, I got lucky there. I don't always get lucky, but I kind of like it when there's a part that smokes and, let you know where the issue is. I gotta be kind of careful what we talk about, but I want to talk about mental health a little bit. I'm mental health, and I think in a way everyone is a little bit mental, but I think a lot of people are lost and stuck in labeling and semantics and words. It's actions. Actions are what you really want to. That's what you infer to if you want to know if what you're doing is right, or if you have meaning in your life. I like to use a life weight measurement. Like, how much weight does your life have? Is how fulfilling and actuating is it? Some people don't want to lift a lot of weight, but you got to. If you want to move things, you want things to move. You do what's hard. You lift a little bit of the world up on your shoulders. That's the cost. That's the cost of things. And we get caught up, and I see people that are, I have depression, so your diagnosis is an explanation, but it's not an excuse. Okay, you don't get to bend the world to fit with you. I grew up in the foster care system, and in and out of jails and mental hospitals, and it's good to default, like at just a base default, if any issues in your life are happening. Now, I'm not saying it's always true, but I think it's a healthy approach is to assume that everything that happens to you is your fault. I know that's can be really counterintuitive, antithetical to a lot of therapeutic procedures, especially when you're a victim of something. And it's like, yeah, if you're a victim, you're not completely to blame, but things are more complicated than just being right and wrong. If you do behaviors that tend to have certain outcomes, hang around with bad people, and then you get burned, yeah, like you're a victim, but look at who you're hanging out with. Stuff like that. You got it. Like I said, it's not about being right. It's just a healthy baseline, just to assume whatever you're doing or whatever happens to you is your fault. And it's just like, what can I do about it? What do I need to change? And I was talking to a friend about her relationship, and she talks about how abusive the boyfriend is, and I'm just listening and talking about it, and and in my head, I can't say this to someone in the moment, but I did push back, but she starts defending him. Well, he says he wants to try to do this, and he says that. Those are just words. It's like, but what does his actions tell you? A lot of people get caught up in words because they're, but we don't differentiate semantics and reality. That's how most of us perceives reality, or perceives our ego, is through speaking and through words. But not everything is that clear cut, especially reality, life, the universe. It's not a rational place. It's actually kind of paradoxical. Actually, I like to think of the universe as being a paradox. And, but nowadays, the fields of psychology and psychiatry are broke to the core fundamentally. We have increasing amounts of people that identify with mental health issues. It's not good, but we have to learn to get outside of ourselves and to be social. You have to, some people will fight tooth and nail to be an individual, which is the wrong way to go about it. You want to be uniform and to fit in, and you learn to fit in so you can learn when and how to stand out. I don't dress uniform, but I can be, and and right now we have people with heavy opinions. I'm getting to a point, really. I know I'm kind of rambling a little bit, and that's okay. It's what I'm gonna do. But what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I think America has, and really, it's a cliche, and it probably will automatically people will have an understanding of me when I say that there's the modernist, the postmodernist view is, of materialism, and it's how most people see things. I mean, you can attack that on you can attack it rationally, but like I said, life isn't rational. You can't rationalize things. Sometimes you just got to do them. That's the old ways. You do right. It's not and then you do. But now we know what things are, and it's like, oh, I have depression, I have addiction, I have this. It's like, well, you're not that. You can't just reduce yourself to that. You can use the diagnoses to sort of be more efficient in your treatment to whatever issue you have, but your diagnoses, it's just a label. I mean, like you grab a handful of people that all have the same diagnoses, they can be very different. What it is they have similar indicators, and at a surface level, we're all going a little mental, and we're kind of making the problems worse. You could blame a lot of things, and it's probably an emergent property of a bunch of things. But what are you doing? What are we all doing? I'm streaming this right now, and it just got me thinking, like, what is going on, man? Like, people, look at our presidential situation. It is not cool, man. Like, a bunch of people have no idea what's happening right in front of their eyes. And the people have so much hate, and it's it really shows of the normal people, how many people get like angry at perfect strangers out in the street. You're driving, someone cuts you off, and I see people take their anger out and frustration. They don't want to let people get over, and it's like you own the road, and you set, it's like that's how we feel about each other. That's not healthy. Let people get over. You don't know what someone's going through or what they're doing. But just day-to-day things. There's no sense of a community. There isn't. There's some communities are holding out strong, but generally, no. There's no community. People are out for themselves. They're just trying to me. And it makes me very sad. But it also gives me motivation, because it's like that's exactly what I'm trying to stop. And we're not all going to drop acid again like in the 60s, so we kind of got to go about it in just plain discourse. So I'm gonna be having some different people come on over, the next few days and all into the future. And we gotta plan this together. We gotta figure out how are we supposed to make people chill, less hateful. Like I get aggression and stuff, and but y'all are like, I try not to hold it against people, but voting is very important, and especially now more than ever. If you understand how the numbers and the statistics are synthetic. I mean, they're real, but the basis of them is synthetic. You can kind of make the market look good by doing certain things to it. I mean, if you flood, let's say, the market with our reserve oil, then there's more supply of oil, and therefore oil will stay down. But that's not honest, because it's still worth the same price. It's actually going up because you're not producing it. So really, the available supply goes down. It goes up, but the gross supply is down because you're using it and consuming it. And I think it's important to know what the hell is going on in the world. Like, what? I get it. People don't want to. They shun the politics away, and let's not talk about this. And it's like, do you realize that there are still hostages in Gaza right now? I mean, Gaza's being leveled, and there's collective punishment there. I think they're trying to minimize it, but dude, there's an easy way to stop the killing in Gaza. It's super easy. Hand over the hostages. Give us back, well, not us, because I'm an American, but I'm a Jew. So, and it's a complicated situation. It is. There wouldn't be killing and there wouldn't be war if it was anything less than just complete, absolutely difficult situation. But it's just, there's some simple solutions. And, I mean, it's like, dude, if you care about the country, vote the boss in. Vote Trump in. Trump should not be a good president, but you know what he is? He's a good boss. And what is the American presidency? It is maximum boss, maximum Don. And just look at who's running against Trump. And that person's never been a boss. They're not strong. They laugh at, like, and I try to meet people halfway. I try to understand. But it always comes to me about being, the men are being emasculated, because, like, one of my favorite statements, well, not my favorite, but a very powerful statement from Jung is that women generally tend to hold irrational opinions while men irrational emotions. And of course, that's not always true, but there's definitely, you could see the trend pretty clear cut. And man, I don't know what it is. Everyone's got opinions on things that they don't know. And I mean, it doesn't make you stupid not to know things. That's the government's all about lying, and you got to read in between the lines, and you got journalists and news, and it's like everything seems legit. Half of us are addicted or to something, and for me, I have to take my medicine, but I'm pretty sure when I was young and like 8, I don't know, I was prescribed Adderall and diagnosed with ADHD. I really think that up until I'm a ex-heroin addict for 12 years. I've been sober off of it for 5, but before I went into drugs, I think that my problems was self-discipline, a confidence problem. I mean, it was a psychological problem that needed an internalized solution rather than an external chemical solution. I don't know how true this is, but I've heard in China, maybe it's Japan, that if a child has a problem at school or they need to talk to a counselor, therapist, psychologist, whoever the kid's talking to, that they'll come and they'll check out the kid's home and see how clean it is, and is it chaotic, and who lives there, and is there chore. It's like stuff like that. It's very simple. It's like before you start throwing diagnoses around and you start, it's like, what are you doing? What's not disorder? What's not disorder is if you've been raped before, or you've been assaulted or neglected of some kind, and you have trauma, and because of that trauma you have a hard time socializing, and you have maybe a volatile emotional state, and you have behavioral problems and all that, and that makes sense. It's like, yeah, you're traumatized, so we got to go through therapy, and we got to talk about it and see how you can handle it. That's not disorder. Disorder is like you win the lottery and you have the partner of your dreams and you want to kill yourself. That's disorder. It makes no sense. But if you're living a life of squalor and you feel nothing but pain and suffering, well, you're living a life of squalor. It makes sense, doesn't it? So you have to change your internal outlook. You have to have an ego death at some point. Because either you're going to be suicidal and want to kill yourself, or what you can do is you can actually kill everything you thought you are and who you are. It's like, do different things, put it into practice. You got to know how to kick your own ass. You got to know how to say no to yourself. You got to know how to deprive yourself of gratification. Because if you don't, guess who's going to do it for you? Someone else. So I guess all this is just to say, let's slow down. Let's slow ourselves down. Let's calm down. Let's not be quick to judge. And let's not be quick to be confident that we understand ourselves. There's a whole like all your thoughts in your head are not yours. The voice in your head, like there are subconscious processes that put thoughts. Thoughts appear to you. They appear to your ego. You don't project. Projection happens to you because you have repressed something, and when you start to trigger that repression, there's a mechanism that makes you project it out so you don't have to deal with it. And you become a victim of a projection. If you were aware of it and conscious of it, then that's not an unconscious process. So, but again, this type of psychology is it's not really used much. I've rarely, and I've been to a bunch of counselors and a bunch of therapists, I rarely get thrown or see, Piaget or Jung. It's always these new academics and these wild studies that have some generalizations and assumptions in them. And psychology is a form of pseudoscience. It's not a pure academic field. Everyone in a category in a psychological, say, diagnoses could be completely different. So it's not as absolute. It's not physics. It's not chemistry. It's a science, but it's like a pseudoscience. It's not pseudoscience. It's real science, but it's not pure. That's what I'm saying. And there's lots of ways to explain the same thing, and really some things are never true. It's just like reducing down to a minimal probability, because like you can think, oh, if I was abused, then I'm going to go and abuse people. But no, it's really most people that abuse tend to become frail and beaten down and will not abuse others. Most victims get broken, but there are some times where, it can be reflected. It all depends. Temperament and predisposition, and I would like to see us get together. I would like to see people be mature enough to talk to one another. But I see people exploit college kids and what the heck, you kids? Like, you're in college. You're not an expert. You don't know shit. You're in college to learn. And yeah, while you have stuff that's fresh on your mind, it doesn't make you an expert. You know, like you've just been going over the textbooks. You have someone assigning stuff for you. I like what Elon Musk says. It's like, what does college do? It shows your employer that you can do your homework. But when you're not in college, you can still be doing the exact same things. I mean, that's what I've always done. I got kicked out of college, so I had to teach myself, and I haven't had too much trouble. I mean, I've got industry certifications, and I read a lot, and it's just, you got to have self-discipline. For me, it took me getting hurt or hurting myself and causing so much, negativity that eventually I had to find a way out, but it doesn't have to get there. Your rock bottom is relative to you. It's whenever you stop digging. You don't have to go that far down. So I just want us to be aware of mental health. I want us to be aware of how loosely the diagnoses and indicators are, because it's a lot of behavioral diagnoses like borderline, bipolar. That stuff is just for poor discipline and poor self-talk and a poor self-outlook, and it's not like something's actually wrong with you. What time do you get up? What time do you wake up? Who do you hang out with? What's your nutrition like? Do you do drugs? Are you drinking? Like, these things are important. How consistent is your life? What's your social group like? None of those require your insurance, your health insurance, to pay for a session. Get some consistency. Do what successful people are doing. Why are they all doing like similar things? It's crazy. They must be in a club. Or maybe there's just certain behaviors that lead to certain results. And things are not rational. Things do not have to make sense. You do not have to understand everything. All you have to understand, really, is that the universe is a paradox, and it's, by definition, the biggest and most powerful thing. And the more you look into it, the more you can see life and stuff that should not. Look up abiogenesis. That is a crazy field. I mean, there's some good studies on it, but no, we're not. Life is a crazy thing. I'll tell you that. We're not. A lot of people believe in aliens. I want to believe in aliens, but we're gonna find like space bugs or something first, right? I always look at the cosmic. Are we alone? With the Drake equation and the Fermi paradox. It's like, if the Earth has been here for 4.5 billion years, so let's just take a picture of the Earth every year for as long as it's been around. So we got 4.56 billion pictures of the Earth throughout its every birthday, right? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to line all those pictures up, all 4.56 billion pictures up. And we're going to throw a proverbial dart. We call it a photon if we're looking from another planet. But we're going to try to hit one of those pictures. What is the probability that you will hit one of the pictures that has humans in it? Like the past 10,000 years is real civilization, the emergence of civilization. Probably our closest ancestors didn't change much over 30, 50,000 years. We got cave drawings and stuff like that, and maybe we stood up at 6 million years. You're talking about finding aliens. Now, aliens do have a bias, because obviously if there's intelligent life, you could assume that maybe they're broadcasting something. But come on, when you're using a transit method, you're assessing the atmosphere, the spectrometry. Spectrometry? Am I saying that right? The spectrograph of the atmosphere, whatever. we're going to find space bugs or plants, if just anything, because it's such a small portion. And, the universe is a pretty inhospitable place. It's just be thankful. And there's things that are bigger than us. And don't chase being happy. Chase finding a meaning. Find a purpose. Get good at something and, enjoy that. You'll find enjoyment in that, but it's not about the enjoyment. You'll get enjoyment through the process, but you want to live heavily. I mean, the harder you choose to live, the more reward you could possibly get. And it's something I've noticed about a bunch of like entrepreneurs and business owners. A lot of them are kind of crazy. Neurodivergent is the term I think we use now. Because you got to be pretty crazy not to just go get a safe, secure job and just go to work every day. When you're trying to trailblaze your own venture, it's like, that's insane. High risk, low reward. That's why you see me. I'm in the lab right now, and we got the 3D printers, and we got all this stuff that I like messing with. And it's like, it's still not. It's always more stuff, more and more things that I have to pile on. But I want to make films, and this is where we make the technical stuff. And I forgot the other last point. Well, I'd say, and I want to speak directly to the people that are struggling, or anyone that kind of identifies with mental health. It's like, you are the hero. You're the hero. You're the main character of your story. And what kind of story do you want? What kind of legacy do you want? And even if you don't care about a legacy, if you want good things to happen to you, or if you want any kind of positive change, you're going to have to change, elemental things that you do. Otherwise it's just, you don't attract what you want. That's not how you get things. You don't just want something really bad. I mean, that is definitely a really good motivator. But you're going to attract what you are, what you do, how real are you, how authentic are you, how disciplined are you, and everyone starts somewhere. That's true. And sometimes we're not good at things. We might not have natural talent in everything. But it's much better to fail than to not try. So just get something that's interesting, and you gotta force yourself. You have to have the discipline. Try, like if you want to learn an instrument, you got to get an instrument. You don't really even need a teacher these days. For most things, you don't need a teacher. They're brilliant, is great. Khan Academy, I mean, I haven't used it in a while, but that's great. If you want to code, or you want to, there's so many things, and it's so important to have a hobby and a talent, because it's like, dude, you're a human. Like, you can do things. You can do really complicated things. And we all stand on the top of our ancestors. You don't do things just fresh and new. That's not. We think that today, now, when you do an original or a new or a fresh thing, that is the maximum goal for creativity. But it's about improving. It's about discovering and exploring. But you do not just start over. If you want to be a writer, you read a bunch of other writers' material. You don't just write because you don't even know what good writing is. The same with anything. You want to do something, you got to start somewhere. And you got to have good self-talk. And that's important. You gotta be a little crazy. And if you're crazy, good. That's how I explain it to myself. Like when I'm crazy, like when I'm feeling bad, I just start saying crazy positive things that I really don't believe them, but I try to. And things start changing, and you call it manifesting. I just call it one foot in front of the other. So, anyone out there that's having a hard time, a lot of us are. A lot of people are having a hard time, and that's just great because you can use that. Pain is one of the best motivators. And if you're not going through pain and you're enjoying things, tread carefully. And anyone that's struggling, just know you're way more powerful than you think you are. Don't live in live in objective reality. There is an objective reality. There are things that are up to your own devices and interpretations, but just do something. Anything. You gotta have friends. I gotta be on my meds. And challenge yourself to do something hard. What's one thing that you can do? If you could do it, that would make your life better instantly. Try to think about that. What's one thing that you could do that would project you a little bit forward? Am I blurry? I feel like I'm blurry. I'm like blind. I'm crippled. I'm pretty beat up. I guess I chose the lifestyle. I guess I gotta work on this access control. Oh, there we go. There it is. I think my camera froze. So, what the heck? Oh, I think so it's 8:44. Cool problem solve earlier with the CNC machine, which is right behind you here. You see here. You could barely see it, but that's this whole thing right here is the CNC machine. Let's see if I can move it without breaking. Yeah, see that? I'm gonna have to work on the tension on it. So I think I need some cable management here. Maybe just like a tiny loop. this needs to come this way. Oop, wrong way. Okay, that's in there. You have no idea, like, this was the craziest thing. And the black box controller, it's called the black box X38 or something. It's this guy right over there. I'm blind, so I'm gonna keep saying that because it's hard for me to focus you. But this wasn't working, and we found out that a diode blew. And luckily, when I went to go turn the power on, because I was probing the board with the multimeter, I saw smoke, and I knew it right away. I was like, maybe I can find this component that's smoking, replace it. I did. The diodes replaced. We're good. I need to calibrate these. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break from that random So I'm going to take a break, and then I'll come back to you. We'll go back and stream, and we'll stream the CNC project over there. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Stay strong, stay consistent, find your meaning.